Yeah, I know. And honestly, man, like if legality is contingent upon combat effectiveness, this thing should be freaking illegal.
Put your party pants on.
Smoking.
Yes.
So should we go 5, 4, 6?
Whatever you want to do, cowboy. Yep.
That's right. Step aside that mine. Do not step on it, for it'll rip off your face. Princess Diana will roll in a
Hit.
grave.
Hit.
Meow, meow.
Do
Let's
it.
go burn some shit down.
Howdy. Rex here. This is the moment we've all been waiting for, guys. What you're looking at is the 1 to 6 ACSS Raptor. This thing's been in development for quite a while, actually, in verification and testing to verify that everything actually worked out good. This is basically taking the Gen 3 body off of the 1 to 6 primary arm scopes that have been pretty darn battle tested on other platforms for a long time. I tried to kill mine for a long time on the FAL. Still haven't done it. I'm working on it. I will destroy it eventually, I promise. However, these are incredibly rugged scopes for the money. The Gen 3 body especially is a little bit of an improvement. And with this particular optic, one thing that's always been maybe wanting, in my opinion, was that the reticle being placed in the second focal plane is good for some reasons, but for the applications that I typically envision using a weapon like this for, the first focal plane reticle is going to be very important. What we're talking about is the reticle in the ACSS Advanced Combat Sighting System is designed specifically for ballistic drop compensation out to 600 yards, as well as a 5 mile an hour and a 10 mile an hour wind hold off in this particular version, as well as target leads, all in the reticle. Very, very cool to have that kind of information in a reticle and a scope in this price range that actually works. You can find other scopes in this price range with similarly configured reticles, but in my experience, I couldn't get them to really produce what they were advertised to do. These are developed with actual ammunition using weapons platforms that have their subtle variations picked right in the middle of the Venn diagram from what most people use at an altitude that's kind of a median range altitude from where most people are going to be. So this one is well balanced. It wasn't just engineered at a desk. This thing was verified out in the field with different platforms, slight different variations in ammunition to see how close you could get this thing centered for everything. And this works very well. When I was able to get over to Nevada and do some testing with this thing over the last year, it's very effective, man. This thing is really cool. And for a long time, people have been asking about the first focal plane possibilities. I was sworn to secrecy. I wasn't allowed to tell you, but now we're allowed to finally share it. They finally got enough in to where they can actually sell them, okay? This one is one of the prototypes that has been tested for quite a while. And they got the reticle perfectly placed to where it's actually producing accurate information throughout the entire magnification range, which duplicates what the engineers at the desk originally developed, right? So that's one of the things about quality control is you can make stuff on paper and on the computer, but unless it's really taken out in the field and refined and verified, it doesn't really mean a whole lot. And this is one of the few companies that does a good job on that category, in my experience. This thing is cool, man. This reticle is designed around the first focal plane. It's not just a second focal plane reticle. It is redesigned to be effective throughout the entire magnification range. So when you're on one power with this thing, it's a very, very fast sighting system to use. You got a horseshoe with the little tiny chevron in the middle, but on one power, it's like a red dot. Very easy to pick up, even if it's not illuminated. It's easy to pick up, but it's a very, very quick to use aiming point. We had a lot of fun running around out in the desert, hammering away at this thing. Also, the testing I've done up here, man, has been pretty fun. One power, it's just like a red dot. It's actually a light scope too. It's, you know, the footprint's a little bit bigger than a red dot, but it's not that heavy. Honestly, it's not that heavy at all. It's not something you're gonna notice. At any time, you need to use a little more magnification, you just crank it up. You don't have to look exactly where you're set because it's a first focal plane reticle. You can set the magnification anywhere you need to be able to optimize the field of view of that target area. And so that's the nice thing here. If you put this on 4 power, 4.5 power, 5 power, 5.3 power, whatever, wherever you have this thing cranked, that reticle is always calibrated to provide you that accurate ballistic drop compensation, wind hold off, and target leads. Man, this thing is fun. I wish I could get more footage. It's just too much fun. You can engage targets from point blank to 600 yards like that. No thinking, no calculating, no screwing around, and with the assurance that you can get a little bit Western with this piece of equipment. And what I mean by that is you can throw it around a little bit. You can slam it around. Guys who know me know I'm a little bit rough on equipment. I've broken a lot of other people's equipment too, man. But this thing's tough. We put it on last year, one of the Generation 3 primary arms 1-6 scopes on an FAL, because that's usually the one that finishes it off. You test it on all the nice platforms first to see how it works as advertised. Then you keep ramping up the abuse, and then you put it on the FAL Para and hammer like 800 rounds through it all in one sitting, and then throw it on the ground and see if it stays together. Normally they break. Most optics I put on that platform break within 100 shots. They're just a little bit violent, especially on budget scopes. This thing, and I was trying to figure out how they accomplished it, works very well even on a violent rifle like that. So I think that I'd be curious to see how these handle on a SCAR 17, because the FAL, man, is like really, really rough on optics. Optics are a delicate instrument. However, if one knows what to look for, and if enough field testing is done before they ramp up production, which is what these guys have done, they found that if you buy the right kind of glue to assemble the optic, yes, guys, in modern day Asian manufactured scopes, stuff is glued together. It has been for a long time. But if you spend a little bit more money, not a lot more money, on the right glue that actually holds together the lens assemblies, that actually glues the lenses in place properly, all of a sudden, you're like way more rugged than you used to be. And some of the other glues kind of become brittle, or they lose their adhesion, or there's various properties to glue that one needs to consider when you're trying to fix little round lenses inside the erector assembly in here. There's a lot of potential. Any one of those things gets a little cockeyed and the whole thing's screwed up. That's typically what a guy experiences running budget optics on big battle rifles like that. These things are tough though. So I would actually rate these on the toughness scale as up there with your actual field capable, proven military optics. It's a budget scope. It's not that cost. But as far as I can verify, I've broken Elcans, I've broken Trigicons. I haven't broke a Trigicon, but I've had them not work because of recoil issues. They bounce all over the place. This thing is engineered pretty good. We'll just put it like that, not to belabor the point. But the first focal plane functionality is amazing to have in a scope in this price range with a reticle that provides as much as this does. There's a lot of other reticles that when you're looking at them on paper, they look cool. And I get that there's kind of a cool guy, Gucci factor to a lot of these things, having all the little lines and stuff arranged kind of like on a Hollywood movie, something that, Tom Cruise would use to take out the bad guys. I get it. However, having a reticle that has the information you actually need that's done properly, that's not false information, is the key. That's why I've always liked the ACSS. It's relatively efficient. It gives you your ballistic drop. Your ranging capability is also factored into here. You place the target inside the line on the appropriate range mark. And if you're looking at a target that happens to be 18 inches wide, which is a lot of targets that could occur, if you ever needed this rifle for serious duty type stuff, you simply bracket the target in there and that's how far he is. And then you hold on that spot and you shoot. If there's wind, you hold on a wind dot. There's no guessing on anything. You don't got a Kentucky windage nothing with this thing. You just hold where it says and it's very effective. One of the other cool parts about it too is on the edge of the circle that surrounds the center aiming point, the little chevron, which is a nice feature too. I like the chevron because it's infinitely small. You can get a perfect zero on these things. It's a very, very small aiming point. But on the edges of that horseshoe, you also have the capability to engage a running target.
So you were talking about the donut on there and leads. How does a guy do the leads on this reticle?
All you got to do on the lead on a mover, the average person sprints about 8.6 miles an hour holding a weapon, is you hold them on the outer edge of the donut.
Okay. So you just get them on that edge of the circle, the outer edge, and
outer edge, yeah,
for a full sprint and
full out sprint. Anything walking, you put them within the donut.
Okay.
So it's really, the leads are more set for 0 to 300 yards.
Mm-hmm.
That's where most of the stuff is happening on the mover. To hit a mover 600 yards out,
yeah,
requires a little bit more than a 5.56.
But we're talking about the average speed of an enemy combatant running with a full load. Okay, that's how much thought went into this thing. They got a lot of ways of asking certain people in different outfits what those average speeds are, and they kind of take the sum total of opinion, condense it down, and get in a pretty good representation of what is needed to apply a very effective hold off on a moving target. That's a cool feature. Something you're not going to see on the other ones. So the primary advantage of this reticle is you can range the targets at any power setting. You can apply accurate ballistic holdover on those targets at any range, at any power setting, and then the same thing with wind and moving targets. So this is something that on my personal DMR setup here that I run, I like to keep a clean setup. I don't like having a lot of other tackle you got to carry with you. One of the problems about that particular role, the designated marksman role, is that you got to find out how far these targets are. A lot of guys are running lasers and things like that and all this other equipment, drop data, stuff like that you got to have to be able to engage targets with the small caliber like a 5.56 out to 500 yards, 600 yards. That's a significant amount of drop and windage. And so there's a lot of other peripheral tools that are typically required to make that game happen with this caliber of a rifle. On this thing, it's all built into the reticle, which sits inside the toolbox, which is this particular scope right here. Pretty darn slick, man. We had a lot of fun shooting this thing during the development, watching how it was going. I'm glad to say they're finally available. So this is like a no-brainer choice, guys. If you're looking for something, honestly, and I wouldn't say this if I didn't believe it, but if you're on a budget for your AR-15, this right here is a great choice. There are a few that are a little more tough than this. Maybe the compact scopes with the prismatic design are going to be a little tougher, but they're a bit chunkier and shorter, and they're not as versatile as having a variable power that actually works right. So the variability, you got 1 power to 6. You're totally deadly out to the max effective range of this cartridge for all practical combat applications. And when you see how easy it is to get people who haven't been shooting before, even people who are like brand new to this, who have never shot beyond 100 yards, you explain the reticle to them in about 30 seconds. They take it out and they start hammering rounds. and their jaw drops because they're just smacking steel at 600 yards with the 223 in a 10-mile-an-hour wind like there's nothing there, like it's easy, because it is easy. So yeah, great setup, guys. For those looking to get in the DMR course, this is probably one of my top recommendations for that under the $500 bracket. To get something that's as rugged as this, that's effective as this, you're going to have to pay thousands of dollars, and you're not actually going to get any functional improvement, to be honest. You're going to get some other nice features, some other nice quality perks, but for all practical tool applications, like this is a tool that is used as nothing. Like I said, this is not something you're going to be posing with. This is something you're actually going to use. This is awesome. All right, guys, wanted to share that with you before we get tied up with other projects. Do check it out, and check out the price, guys. They're pretty affordable.
So should we go 5, 4, 6?
Whatever you want to do, cowboy.
Yeah,
Just tell me where you're shooting.
Yeah, let's go 5, 4, 6.
Starting on the 5?
Yeah.
Let me get zeroed in. Okay.
There's a mouse out.
I'm ready. Yep. Where's the 4? Over there, yep. Yep. Now where are we at?
6.
600? Hit. Easy peasy, man.
Yeah.
Kind of boring, actually, isn't it?
Yeah, pretty much.
Hey guys, Rex here. Thanks for watching the video. It was awesome to have you. Don't forget to subscribe to our newsletter for whenever YouTube cracks down on us. The newsletter can be found at www.rexreviews.org. Subscribe to that newsletter. You'll get updates on any kind of cool stuff, wherever the rendezvous is going to be when the Russians come and invade the place, like on the movie Red Dawn, and all kinds of other fun details like the latest podcast episodes and latest reviews. Do make sure to check out our podcast show. We got lots of hours of incredible content where we're actually allowed to be honest with how we feel about things. We're highly edited on this very highly politicized platform now that YouTube has become. So on our podcast show, we get pretty Western, we have a lot of fun, and we really tell you a lot more detail about our true opinion on the way the world goes. We also talk about all kinds of questions and answers related to long-range shooting, tactical stuff in general, survival, prepping, scenarios, what-if scenarios, all kinds of fun stuff. The podcast is one of the funnest projects we've ever done. Do make sure to check that out. We give you little tiny excerpts here on this YouTube channel, but for the entire full-length shows, which are usually a good 2, 3, 4 hours of incredible content, you're going to want to go to rexreviews.org to find the podcast shows. They're available on SoundCloud and iTunes. If you're looking for some Tier 1 rifle training, please visit rexdefense.com. That's our training hub that will show you our currently scheduled events. If you do want to see us while we're still doing this, go check that out. And we would love to come see you in person, hang out, and get you squared away on the precision rifle.